All right, guys. Today we're gonna do something a little bit different. Um, Sorry for the lack of content. I I've had other things to do. I went to the ISC. Actually, did get a one fishing trip out to the Delta, trying to go for bass. But the Delta is super tough right now, and there was three of us, and it was a skunk fest. Not even a single bite. And then I got sick, and I'm still sick. Second week now, so might as well do something fishing related that does not involve being out in the water. So I figured, hey, you know what? I have two new reels. Might as well do a review on them. This will be a quick initial review of both reels because I haven't had them that long. I've only taken both of them out. Actually, this one three times, the other one twice. I have done some cast testing with both using a 2 and 1 gram lure weight. So uh, I've, I've used it, but it hasn't been run through the mill. All right, so this first one here is a Lizard Boki Pro. This is an all metal reel, and and all metal reel, and it comes in only one gear ratio. It's 7.6 to 1. It does come in multiple colors. This is a gold one. There's a one called a Gunsmoke, and then there's one called a gray, which is more like a gunmetal. And you can get these with or without a spare spool. The one with a spare spool is $110.98, and the one without is $110.70. So you might as well get the spare spool if you're going to get this reel because it's not, that much more. All right, so now why did I decide to go with this reel? Well, I'm always scanning for the latest things in BFS because as you all know, I have a little addiction problem. So, um, and I haven't really seen anything new lately. I mean, the newest thing that's come out lately is something called a DK100, and that is a clone of the Calcutta Conquest BFS 23, which I have, and everybody seems to be buying that and doing reviews on that. So I didn't want to. That's why I didn't. I decided not to go with and buy the DK100, and plus I had the real thing, so it was. I didn't need to get that particular reel. Um, all right, so looking around, I noticed that this was a another metal reel, another metal round reel, and what really caught my eye is that in the picture, I think it was someone who was doing a review. The person actually showed it right next to the Conquest, and that's what really caught my eye and the final decision maker for me to get this reel because look at this. Look at the size. Okay. Look at these two. When I got this Calcutta Conquest was my very first ever round reel, and I was a little bit, hesitant because I had never had a round reel. I wasn't sure how I was gonna palm because I palm when I fish. Okay, I like to put my finger underneath the line for a little extra sensitivity. So I like to be able to comfortably wrap my hand around the reel. So that's why I like small, low profile reels. But with the round reels, I had never had one. So when I got this, I was pleasantly surprised at how small this thing is. Never been a problem palming this thing. It's one of my favorite reels. Elder Baron BFS and this reel are my two favorite reels. The Elder Baron is a little bit lower profile, but in terms of aesthetics, love this thing. This thing is rock solid. In fact, it's my dedicated flicking reel. So when I saw the picture and noticed that this was even smaller, I was like, okay, I got to get that. The other thing about this reel is that it's very unique. See this? I've never seen a reel that has had an opening like this where the side is transparent so you can see what's in there. Um, yeah, so like I said, I've taken this out 3 times and I've tested it with 1 and 2 gram lures. Now, this reel is overbraked. I was able to get like 86, 87 feet regularly on brake setting 1, which is like 1 click away from no brake, and I didn't feel like I was even going to backlash. Problem with overbraking is that you're kind of not really getting the maximum out of casting distance with that reel. If you know you're already at almost no brake and you're still not even like nowhere near backlashing, it means that there's still more potential for that reel that you can't get anymore because you don't have the settings to go beyond it. So yeah, so it's a little overbrake. 2 grams and up, this reel is perfectly fine. It casts really nicely, and you can cast it in. I mean, when I went bass fishing, actually, it was a windy day, and I was casting this at the wind, against the wind. You know, I was getting crosswind, tailwind, and headwind, and did not backlash once. So that's where the overbraking comes in really handy. Might be also a good reel for someone who's new into bait casters because you really minimize the amount of backlashing you're going to do. All right, so let's kind of go over the pros and cons of this reel. So let's go over the pros. So the pros, the number one pro is that it's tiny. I mean, look how easy it is to palm this thing. The other surprising thing that I found with this reel is that it's really built well. I mean, look at this. There's no slop there at all. It's raw. It's a solid build, and it's a quiet caster too. Compared to a lot of my reels, this thing casts pretty quiet, and so it's rock solid. Really, I mean, like high, like the tolerance is just, look at that. It's really tight, and it's small. It looks nice, and it's very unique looking. I think another pro for this is it'd be great for someone who's new to bait casters, and also it'd be great reel really for dedicated reel for windy days and for skipping. So if you want to practice skipping, it's probably a great reel for it because you'll have less backlashes. Now, unfortunately, this thing has a lot of cons. The first one, it's kind of a double-edged sword, the overbraking. For a lot of people, if you're going to be wanting to throw 1 gram lures, the overbraking is definitely not gonna. You can't do it with this reel. I tried to with a 1 gram lure, and it kept veering left, which means too much braking. I got it down to 0 brake with a little bit of adjusting my aiming point. I did manage to get it out about 26 feet on a regular basis, but I think it's just really not made for 1 gram lures. 2 grams and up, it's perfectly fine. The other problem I have with this reel, which is the biggest problem for me at least, is the whole brake adjustment. It has several problems. One, the location. If you notice this knob right here, it's right here, and the knob's right here. And when I palm, sometimes my palm will hit it, sometimes my thumb will hit it, and I've actually changed this several times on my first trip. I've just had to adjust the way I hold this particular reel. The other problem is that this is very easy to turn. See that? So it compounds the problem of the location because you give it a little brush and it's changed. The third problem Again, compounding the same problem is there's no click here. There's no clicker. So you can't hear when it's moving or feel it. It's just gonna move. And then the last problem with this is, I mean, look at the dial marker. You can hardly see it here. So when I'm out there, you know, in the sun or in an overcast, I can't see it. I literally have to set it all the way to 0 and start moving it, just based on an estimate of how far each of these numbers are spaced. And then lastly, there's no marker that tells you where the setting should be. That tells you, okay, that's where it needs to be for that particular setting. There's no marker at all. So yeah. The other problem I have is, and for some people it's no big deal, but for me it is kind of a big deal because I really do like it, is the drag clicker. So when I first got this thing, sorry guys. All right. So when I first got this thing, I was, pulling line out. Because I was testing the drag. Again, listen to that. You can't hear anything. So I was like, oh crap, no drag clicker. But if you hold it down and you reel in, you can hear something. So it has a drag clicker, but it's so faint. It's hard to tell it's even there. For some people, it's no big deal. For me, I really do like to hear the sound of a drag clicker. So that's a con for me. And then lastly, this guy right here. Now, granted, this reel does not backlash much, but there's a little screw right here. And now granted, it only happened one time, but I had a backlash and the line wrapped around that little screw, and I had to take the spool out to get it out of the to get it untangled. Two other pros that I forgot is that it does come with a spare spool, and it's $110. So it's anywhere from $20 to $30 cheaper than the DK100, depending on which store you get it from. So, final thought. So this is just an initial review. Again, I haven't used it long. Would I recommend this reel? Well, for me, I would actually keep this reel, and I was actually thinking of getting out another one with a different color. But if you're going to be throwing lures that are 2 grams and up, I think this reel is perfectly fine. I think it actually would help like newer baitcaster users because it will minimize the backlash. But if you're someone who's looking for something that will throw a 1 gram lure, this is not for you. This is definitely not for you. Maybe there's some things that you can do to it to try and maybe reduce the tension knob, or maybe put some kind of like upgraded bearing, but maybe remove. I haven't played around with. Maybe remove some of the magnets. In fact, maybe I might actually do that. But yeah, 1 gram lure. Yeah, 2 grams and up. I would definitely recommend this reel. It's well built. It looks very unique. It's quiet, and it's super easy to palm. Yeah. All right, guys. That's my thought on the Boki Pro, the Lizard Boki Pro. Thank you for watching. Oh my God, Rory.